muskrat. It's swimming.
Oh, there we go. In my back.
This is the TFC. This is the TFC.
This is the TFC Riffles and Rants podcast.
Dude, I just realized how low my voice is. I think it's from hiking.
Your voice is not low.
You did bad things to me. You hurt me. Does anyone have a son or a loved one that makes them do things they don't want to do, that injure them deep into the darkness of their soul? My son does that to me. Takes me places.
Are we starting this or what? You always started off in a weird way, and I'm trying to.
All right. You can edit the whole thing out. How about I just sit here and look at you do your podcast?
That one time you held the podcast hostage, so that's not even true.
But you didn't even put that one out, so that's not even. See, but when I did, you got mad.
All right, start over. I'm okay. What are we talking about? All right, welcome back to the TFC Riffles and Rants podcast. This is episode 5. We were on a hiatus.
An elk hunting hiatus, which is still ongoing, but we transitioned into fall, so September is a month of the Wapiti.
The Wapiti.
I'm very Native American friendly.
Elk hunting's been great. And horrible. Elk scouting, elk hunting. The first 2 trips we did, each one was 14 miles
of scouting
in one day.
In one day.
Now we just did our first 4-day trip that was 30 miles.
All uphill. How do you do that all uphill?
I mean, it wasn't all uphill.
It felt all uphill.
We came back down.
Sometimes I feel like part of me didn't. I feel like part of me's still up there. I think I left pieces of my soul there.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, before we get into that, are we gonna talk a little bit about our elk scouting?
Yeah, let's do it.
And elk hunting. And then
welcome to the TFC Cataract podcast where we talk about elk hunting.
Yeah, whatever.
That's what we were doing. Yeah.
But first,
our sponsors. Oh, no.
We don't have any of those.
We have no sponsors. Sorry. Sponsored by Kirkland Water. That's what we bought.
Oh, that's funny.
Wow.
No, I was going to really go on a rant about some of the people that were
elk hunting people?
No. About the cataracts and drift boats. So I'm just going to say this. I'm turning into an educational moment for people.
So this isn't a rant, it's actually educational?
No, it's just going to be positive.
All right.
No negativity.
It felt negative when you were talking to me about it, but go ahead.
All right. Well, it was funny because we got a comment on a 2-man ad I put together, and a guy said, "Why are these cataracts going for the prices of drift boats?" And I just want to clarify. I think that there's a big misunderstanding. When people look at a cataract, they think a Cabela's pontoon, that you just sit in.
It's
like a belly boat.
You're soaking in your own
juices. People still have the stereotype that that's what a cataract is. And my answer to that is because our cataracts, specifically our 2-man and 3-man, can do everything a drift boat can. And our 2-man is not what the price of a new drift boat is. Our 3-man is relatively the same price, a little still less than a drift boat. But they do everything a drift boat can, so that's why.
And more.
Yeah, exactly. They do everything a drift boat can, and they do everything else that a drift boat can't.
and they don't sink.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
So that's my answer. I just wanted to throw that out there. I just want everyone to be aware that when you see a TFC cataract, it's not your average Cabela's, Colorado XT or. I don't want to throw names out there, but it's not your, Dave Skaden pontoon. It's just not. It's high quality materials. It's versatile. It can do everything a true drift boat can and everything else that it can't. And that's just how we feel. I mean,
Well, not
To
only
each their own. Everyone likes what they like, but
not only that, it can do everything you can't because you can throw it off of a basically mountain.
yeah.
You can roll it down anything. You can drop it off of things. You're not doing that with the drift boat.
And you can split rocks.
And again, it doesn't sink. That's my big thing.
Yeah.
Drift
Very
boats sink.
versatile. So I was getting that out there.
You feel better now?
No,
Not yet.
no.
You still just want to get in there and
Just want to get in there.
grind it in there.
All right, I'm good.
All right.
On to the next topic.
Oh, hey, one other thing before we leave that topic. It also is very, very telling that when you walk in and you buy a boat off of a showroom floor, and then they start adding on oars and adding on an anchor and adding on the point is
The
that
prices we show on our website is
everything.
full package.
You go into a drift boat store and it might be
Yeah, you get one for
$12,000.
12 to 15,000. You're going to be spending another 5 to 10 grand with oars, trailers, every other accessory that you need.
for a boat that sinks. Anyway, okay, that's all I wanted to say. Did I say that they sink? Anyway.
I mean, people could say if you pop your tubes, our boat will sink too. So
Yeah, but you got 4 tubes, so it'd be really hard to do that.
I know.
Anyway.
I'm just throwing
Okay.
it out there for you.
All
You
right.
keep saying it sinks. Everyone
does.
knows that they can sink.
I know. Not everyone. I don't think people realize that they can sink,
Maybe
honestly. They sink.
Gosh dang it.
All right, I'm done.
I'm really annoyed that we don't have a dead elk. I think it's hurting my life in ways.
Do you want
I
to tell
get
the
annoyed
story?
with
Do you want to say
everyone.
what happened this weekend, or you just want to leave it alone and move
No,
on?
we'll talk about it.
You want to talk about the scouting?
We'll talk
first?
about pressure too.
Yeah, because it
Hey,
applies.
hunting pressure is way worse than fishing pressure. I just want everyone to understand that. All right.
Anyone who thinks that Spinney or Antero have a lot of pressure, which they do for fishing,
You go big game hunting in an over the counter unit.
it's a whole nother plan. They're in
But-
there.
Yeah. Well, we did some scouting. On our first 2 trips, we didn't see crap. We found some good areas.
We
Then
found
Then I
crap.
went on another trip and I found 4 bulls. Pretty sure they were the only 4 bulls in a 50-mile radius.
And other people had already
And
scouted
already
them
people
also.
saw the same bulls I saw.
How many miles were we back from a place where you could park a truck? From the truck.
Like 8 or 9 miles.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And
So,
can we talk about e-bikes in the outdoor world?
yeah, is it even legal? Like if you go to an area, not wilderness area, but if you go to a road that's closed and then there's a trail sign
This
that
is
says
non-motorized.
non-motorized, like it shows a picture of a bicycle,
That you can use bikes, you can walk, you can use horses, obviously.
but it says no motors.
So is an e-bike a motor?
It's got to be, right? Like it's an
I thought you
electric
weren't
motor.
allowed to use them, and we got passed by a homie with an e-bike
And he
as
was
we
like,
were dragging our own regular bikes in a cart up this horrible
If I-
spot.
I was already, I'll just speak for myself because he's 24 years old, so he's in a lot better shape than I am. But at that point, when the e-bike man came by, I felt like I had been kicked between the legs immediately when he came by us. Like it was not a good feeling. And then he said, what was his words?
Because I didn't even break a sweat
He said that.
after I felt like we were gonna die.
We were a half mile from the end of the road with where you could take a bike. And he said, I haven't even broke a sweat.
I'm just saying, I want CPW to start to define these things with e-bikes more, because I got wrecked by dudes on e-bikes turkey hunting,
Yeah.
and they actually like shot our
Turkey.
turkey that we wanted. We beat them to the spot, and then they, in the dark, rode e-bikes and got underneath the tree. Oh, it was ridiculous. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah,
So
because if
e-bikes,
not, we're
yeah.
buying e-bikes this
Yeah.
week.
I mean,
If you can't
hey.
beat them, you join them.
Exactly. So I either hate them or I want one or the other. I don't even care.
But I don't want to
which.
buy one and like watch. We'll buy one and then they'll be like banned for like hunting purposes or something.
Exactly. It used to be like if you were in better shape than the next guy and you were willing to go further than the next guy because they couldn't take anything motor, then you got away from people. Now you got dudes that are just like,
I mean, that's still the case when there's no trails or roads, but
Yeah, but usually there's still a road on the backside of somewhere.
I know,
if
there's
someone
roads
sneaks
everywhere.
in. Anyway, yeah, it was not
Yeah, we had a shot this weekend with an elk. Not a shot. We found one bull and one cow,
and we got an
and
opportunity.
we got an opportunity with the only bull we found the whole time.
And he got hung
No
up.
bugles. Didn't hear anything.
And homie got hung up on a rock slide at 110 or 120 yards and wouldn't cross the rock slide.
Close.
He came trotting in
It was close.
and then stood there and stared at me for 20 minutes. Dude, it was rough. We could have killed a bear. There was more bears than there were elk.
Dude, some big old bears.
And there's way more moose. Hey, I just would like an actual accurate population count of moose in the state of Colorado because I'm a firm believer.
I feel like there should be over-the-counter moose
there are
tags.
more moose than there are elk in this state. Everywhere we go, we find bull moose. Like in our camp. One walk by
I know.
camp.
I have the video.
I mean,
I took a video of you at camp, and then I zoomed it over, and it's just a freaking bull moose.
walking by camp. I was making a fire, and he didn't even leave. Elk, they're tough. Sneaky.
The grind continues. We still got time.
What is it, September what today?
8th. September 8th.
You're counting down the days. I know. We got beat by a full moon, too, so that wasn't that wasn't helpful either.
No, it wasn't. But we were alone in a lot of stuff because we did horrible things to get to where we wanted to go.
Let's talk about the bear we stalked to do horrible things.
Yeah, that was awful.
How far away was it when you found it?
1,200 yards.
1,200 yards. And then we made a mile and a half loop
Circle to get to him just for
Just-
the wind to switch.
for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Once we got within 150 yards, the wind switched and we watched him just run off.
He sprinted off like
Oh,
Yogi Bear.
horrible.
And then we saw him the next morning in the same exact spot. And we chose to let him stay and live because I didn't want to make that walk again.
Yeah.
Wow.
What are we talking about?
Fishing out of a boat.
Really?
Let's talk about going. Is it a better topic to talk about fishing going the extra mile like we did elk hunting to scout and do all of the hard stuff that no one wants to do?
Let's talk
and-
about both.
And you can do the same thing in a boat?
Yeah.
All right.
And then talk about rowing stuff.
Okay. How do you go the extra mile, son?
With fishing.
Yeah.
I don't anymore. I gave up.
It's a great topic. Good job. Way to keep the podcast going. Congratulations. In fact, we're not even going to make boats anymore. We're just done.
It is true. With elk hunting, it's not even true with elk hunting. So many people think that if you go the extra mile that you can get alone. Homies are doing 15 miles and they freaking see people back there.
And then there's dudes that are like completely fat and out of shape. And they just pull over on the side of the road and they find
I know.
3 elk walking down the road. And
I mean, it's generally true. All right, yeah. You put in more work. It's the same thing with boats, like finding places with no boat ramps, doing things people don't think about. You can still kind of get alone. Even that, though, not really.
There's nowhere to get alone anymore.
Unless you want to go fish like a little creek for
If you want to get alone,
4-inch brookies.
if you want to get alone, go to the bathroom.
It's turned really negative.
That's my comment of the day. If you want to be alone, go to the bathroom.
Even then, you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. Homie might be around the toilet paper corner, lurking in the closet.
Lurking? Is he lurking at you?
No, he's just lurking around the corner, and he peeps out from behind the corner. He's like, "Hey, what's up, homie?"
Oh my gosh.
It's going nowhere. Wow.
Okay. Can you get back on?
Is there any way to be alone anymore?
I actually think that we left something up at elk camp, and it was our sanity.
We only got back 2 days ago, so bear with us. My apologies.
Okay.
I still feel like I have to breathe right now.
I know.
I'm trying to recover.
All right. Well, it is true.
I lost 7 pounds.
I mean, everyone knows, especially with our boats. If you do, like, if you're trying to do floating stuff to get alone, you got to go do some gnarly non-boat ramp hiking I mean, I've hiked one of our boats to an alpine lake.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I hiked it uphill. It wasn't an uphill hike with the boat. But, yeah, I mean, you can still think outside the box with the 2-man and the 1-man especially. You can find some cool stuff to go do still that you can get alone and float.
You know, I think you can too, like specifically with still water.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of still water that is a lot of big bodies of water, and if you're willing to like just go to a pull off and then carry a boat down to the water in places where there's not boat ramps, our boat really thrives in that kind of thing.
For sure.
There's big bodies of water. Like you could even do it on something like Blue Mesa, which isn't a big float tube type of body of water, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you could park and you can go and get in places. There's other things that you can do, like thinking out of the box. If there's typical boat launches that are like point A to point B that are all well known, if you don't want to use one of those, you can put in halfway, and if you got there early and beat traffic
people down certain sections. Yeah.
I think that's
it's just funny how you have to think that way more and more with outdoors hunting, fishing stuff.
Yep.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's crazy how much it's changed. Like the last, COVID really was the big kicker, but
yeah.
I mean, even before that a little bit. But.
All right, we were going to talk about how to get alone, but I think we both agreed that you just can't get alone these days.
Basically, what we came up with is if you want to be alone, go to the bathroom, because other than that, you're not going to. So just
or go
enjoy
do
the
stuff
outdoors.
that's really low success rate.
Yeah, there's that.
You know?
Yeah.
Like just weird stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about rowing to fish.
I think that's a bigger, better topic.
Agree.
So
rowing to fish.
Let's talk about rowing to navigate first, and then I'll talk about rowing. So you talk about rowing to fish, and I'll talk about rowing to navigate. So I think that probably the biggest thing is when you first buy any type of boat, regardless of what type it is, and you're going to navigate a river, learning to navigate is the most important thing. You got certain things that are general rules in river navigation, which are something like split the V, cut the C. There's all these terminologies about just navigating down the river. And the guy that we did oar certification, he had a great quote that he said, "Sticks make it down." So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can make it down the river. Now, making it down safely and not flipping your boat, you're going to row right down the middle of the river. You're going to read water in front of you. I'd like to talk a little bit when you're reading to navigate. One great thing that we have learned is that you read rapids from the bottom of the rapid up. You read where the water is coming out of a rapid and then follow that path of water up to the point where you're going to enter, and that's how you find your way through a rapid safely.
That's a good point.
It's a big deal. And when you first get a boat, whether it's ours or anybody's, your very first thought should be safety and making it down. Because there was a period of time when we first started rowing, we didn't catch a lot of fish rowing.
Mm-mm.
We used our boat to become wade fishermen. So we would row a section, get out and walk, and then we'd fish and then row and then walk. And it was a while. It's a learning curve because there's a huge difference.
To say there's a learning curve.
There's a huge learning curve between rowing to navigate and rowing to fish.
Yeah.
So rowing to navigate, you're trying to be safe. You're trying to get everyone off the water. You're just reading water. You're staying in the middle parts of the water. And most of the time, you are running over where all of the fish are, right?
Yeah. Especially low water times.
So if you're now to the point where you're navigating and you're making it from put in to put in on a river safely, tell me what are some of the first, so dig into a little bit. What are the first things that you do? If you're on a river for the very first time and you're a good navigator, so you can navigate a river now.
Before you move on from that, I think you can talk about too, like rowing to navigate and not working as hard. Like there's a few tricks to it. About your angle, your ferry angle, about using boulders and pockets.
That's a good point.
You want to talk about that?
100%. So everything in the river you will learn is either helpful or harmful to you about getting down. and you can use everything in the river to your advantage.
And most of it's helpful,
Yeah, I mean,
unless it's a strainer or a
or a sweeper.
yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of the river, like every rock in the river, as long as you can get around it, has an eddy behind it or a soft spot. So if you're coming down and you're flying down and you are trying to find a way to slow down so you don't get slammed up into a sidewall or a cliff, learning how to read the water to find those soft spots to be able to slow you down is really important.
And also understanding what boat you're using and the size of it and where that can fit in those pockets.
It's the other thing that's great about our boat when you split rocks, because if you split a rock and you slide into the eddy, you can kind of get into an eddy that other people can't because you're in it by going straight over it. Yeah. If you're in a raft, you get high centered or you know.
Yeah, so understanding your boat and what it can do based on the navigable parts of the river.
I think it's also important to understand what you said. You brought up a word ferry, which is just basically getting from one side of the river to the other. There are ways when you get good at ferrying that you can get across the river using one oar. You don't even have, if you get your angle right, your ferry angle right, you can cut across with very, very little effort, particularly in a boat like ours that tracks so well, because when it tracks, when you get it on a track and you get the ferry angle right.
And it pushes on those pontoons at that angle.
It just
slides right
across. So learning all of that is important to be able to fish effectively.
And not kill your arms.
Yeah, because you let the river do a lot more of the work than you are doing. And you see guys out there that are just grinding and pushing and pulling.
And that's depending on the boat you have, the wind situation, like the less you can work, especially with those factors, the better off. I mean, the more you'll just enjoy your trips and your boat and your experiences.
Yeah, and the oars that you have and the size of the oars and the size of how those oars are fit to your body and making sure that you get custom fit to the oars for the boat that you're in and not just randomly buying oars that might be too long or too short for
all of
the craft that you're in.
And like, I think a lot of people who are so into fishing and want to just float fish skip that whole whitewater train of thought. That,
I agree.
You know, guides have to know and pay attention to, that whitewater people and kayakers just know. But like understanding that stuff and really paying attention to it makes you an overall better float fisherman.
And people,
or it just gets rid of like the learning curve. Just
100%, 100%. So if you'll learn how to navigate well and efficiently, it will make your learning curve into being effective as a fisherman or guiding other people to fish or making other people successful so much faster.
Yeah.
Because when you just jump in and you just are like, oh, well, that looks like good water, you end up rowing over it all the time. Or you just miss all of the good water because you're trying to avoid certain things.
Yeah.
And you work your butt off for no reason.
Yeah.
So get good at navigating a river, and then you'll get good at fishing, but it won't happen the other way around.
No.
So then my next question is for you. Once you've learned how to navigate and you are, pretty good at getting down the river safely and you can ferry back and forth and you can use the stuff in the river, what's one of the first things, if you go onto a river, what are things you're looking for as a rower to make the guy or the person who's in front of you fishing successful? What do you look for? Or what do you do? How do you read a river?
There's so many different actually like ways to talk about it. I think the easiest will just be like the tips that come to mind. Like I think first of all, understand if you're fishing a technical like tailwater that you're floating, or even like a low water technical freestone in Colorado, or if you're fishing like a freaking Wyoming, Montana, just slough,
like a big flat piece of water.
Because then that really dictates your like how you're navigating the river to fish it. Like if we're in Colorado fishing a freestone that has a lot of boulders and pockets and drop-offs and it has all kinds of water, being able to pick apart during what season the fish are holding in, like if it's, colder in winter, understanding if they're holding in like deep holes, like in the Colorado River, or if it's summer and they're holding against, like shoals that are only 2 feet deep against like grassy banks, understanding that part. Obviously, like just from a fishing standpoint, you have to understand what's happening during the year. But like float fishing, when we first started, all we did was run each other's setups over, and specifically indicator fishing.
Yeah.
Because the rower catches the fish when you're indicator fishing out of a boat.
So shout out, just real quick, shout out to all the guides, because anyone who's watching this and you've been on a guide trip and you have caught fish, your guide caught the fish.
I mean,
by rowing you to the fish and
indicator fishing to get a long drift in some of those, actual runs.
Yeah.
It's more about rowing and having the right distance than it is casting and how far you can cast, and how many times you have to mend the line is dependent on how good your rower is and keeping the same speed as your drift.
I've seen very inexperienced anglers with a good guide catch a lot of fish because the guide put them where they needed
that's
to be.
the number one thing I'd say is, if you're indicator fishing specifically, keeping up with the drift. And then knowing, like, if you have a 3-man, being able to scull, which we have a whole video on that, but being able to keep your boat straight and move yourself side to side without turning the nose is a huge thing. But when you're on a 2-man of ours, that does not matter at all. You can point it wherever you want.
Point and shoot.
As long as you have the distance and speed right for a drift somewhere, that's pretty much all you need.
And I think that's I mean, for that reason alone, I like fishing out of our 2-man so
Agreed.
much, because it's just fun. Like if you and a buddy, or you and your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, are like just out, like, it's really the best way to fish, because you can just point and shoot and it stays where you want it to stay.
Yeah. So I mean, that's obviously keeping up with the drift and reading the water. Like, there's so many different ways to read water. You can fish behind boulders, which is harder. If you're trying to fish behind boulders and pockets of water while you're floating, you're going to have to work really hard back rowing so that they can get a longer drift in that seam behind the boulder.
Or you might even be dry fly fishing and you want them to have 2 or 3 shots at that pocket. So you're going to sit
knowing
there in
if
the
you're
back
fishing
row.
some of that slower water, but you can't be in the slower water because that's where you're trying to fish. So you're going to be working really hard back rowing to try to keep that drift. So you have to set yourself up before you have to read that water earlier so that you have the distance away from that pocket or those boulders, so that, you're not trying to move side to side once you get to that slow boulder, pocket, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you hit on something. So I think that maybe the best way to do this is break it down a little bit. So if I'm reading water, let's break it down by cold weather or warm weather. So, and the reason I say that is that it will dictate what you're going to actually put your boat in versus what you're not, where you're going to position your boat and where you're going to fish. Because what you said is key. If I go on a river and it's November, December, January, February,
You want to be
the fish
ideally
aren't in the shallow
you want
water.
to. I mean, if it's a tailwater,
Right.
maybe. But if you're trying to, obviously, if you're trying to fish the deep runs, you want to be on the banks.
Yeah, so you want
But
to
if you were trying to fish
shallow.
the banks in the summer, you want to be in the deep,
faster
slow runs.
Yeah, which
Or
is
the
going to
deep,
be
faster water.
the
It
deep,
could be the
faster
faster
water.
water too.
especially in the summertime.
So, yeah, I mean, trying to be successful floating. I just feel like the easiest part's to talk about, like the Colorado River.
I agree, because that's what I'm picturing.
You have flat sections that you have to pick apart water where all of it looks the same. And a lot of that becomes about knowing the depressions in there where holes are, or knowing like some undercut banks, or just any type of transition. Or you're fishing canyony water, which in that case, you're fishing the banks probably all year round because that's where the slowest water is,
Yeah, usually.
So,
But I think that reading water is, I think that the very first thing that seems to me when you're typically overall finding seams and mid-river seams or just seams between the slow, it's like wade fishing. If you find seams, don't run over the seam. Like, you want to have
I
your
know.
people fish the seam,
Yeah.
so you can't put the boat in the seam. So that's number one, is what I would say.
well, and I think along with that, generally, your boat is going, if you weren't rowing and you let the current take you, generally, the current is going to take you and run you right over where the best fishing water is.
That's what I was just going to say. Perfect.
So if you think about it that way, if you weren't doing anything and if you're not working on the oars, you're probably running over the best water there is to fish in a lot of circumstances, I'd say.
I
So you got to work to get your boat to a spot where you're like, I don't. That's not as fishy, but I can set them up to fish that where it's trying to push my boat into.
Yes.
And that's what we've struggled with a lot, learning how to float fish and be successful.
And that's why navigating versus float fishing are
Mm-hmm.
two very different things. Because navigating, you just let the boat go down most of the water that it wants to go because that's where most of the water is. The problem is that a lot of times that's where the fish are. So when you're floating to fish, you don't want to be where the river wants you to be.
Yeah.
You have to force it to be where who is ever fishing can actually hit that water.
And with that, we were talking about indicator fishing this whole time.
Mhm.
But I will say that's kind of why I like streamer float fishing, because you do not have to work as hard while you're rowing. I mean, get them in a general area so that they can hit a lot of water that looks fishy. But you cover so much water streamer fishing that you just can kind of let it do whatever it wants to do.
Yeah,
in a
for
lot
sure.
of cases too.
And and you know me, I don't love streamer fishing just because it's so much work. But
From
at
the
this-
boat,
but from the boat,
you can cover so much water, and the rower doesn't have to work near as hard as
You can-
when you're indicator fishing.
you can pretty much navigate row
Yeah, and let someone streamer fish.
and let someone streamer fish 100%.
So I think that's another kind of
Yeah.
funny difference between the way you're fishing and how you're float fishing.
Yeah. But you will notice, like, everyone goes on float trips. It feels like people go on float trips and they get a guide and they're like, oh, wow, I want a boat because I know that I could do this and I could catch fish. And then when you start rowing
Yeah.
and learning how to row for someone to catch fish, it's actually a lot bigger learning curve than people anticipate.
Yeah.
It was for me anyway.
And that's why I think Stillwater is a great place to start with it. Just get the
Yeah.
rowing feel down,
I agree.
and then learn how to, like, with maps and satellite and sonar, pick spots that are transitions and stuff. And then you can kind of
yeah, and
relate that to floating.
And while it's not going to really give you there is a lot, people might not think that you can learn a lot from rowing in a still water, but
You
you
can.
learn boat positioning and you learn what your oars do, and it's in a situation that you're not going to get in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah. The other thing I will say, back to navigating, don't dig your oars in the water. Don't do it. Don't dig your oars in the water and turn sideways, because things end up bad.
So do you mind if I tell the story about you and the roaring fork in your underwear?
Oh, yeah. That was good.
So he was fishing with someone, a buddy of ours who was rowing, dug an oar in way too deep, popped it out. We didn't have oar keepers on it to keep it in. Oar sinks in the middle of a run.
Yeah.
What, 5-6 feet deep?
Yeah, I think it was 4 or 5 feet deep.
And you didn't have an extra
Oh,
oar.
it was more like 5 or 6, because I couldn't touch.
You couldn't
the
touch,
bottom.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I didn't bring an extra oar. So bring an extra oar whenever you row.
was this a September trip?
November.
Oh, it was November? So in November, in the Roaring Fork, and I'm not suggesting that anyone do this because what I'm about to tell you is not like a safe thing to do. So I'm not exactly thrilled.
And,
I'm glad you're here. But he took off all of his clothes except his underwear, had another boat that was coming down, back row him over and over while he hung
I think it
on
was
to the side
three
of
or
their
4 times, and I had to take the life jacket off because I couldn't get down there.
and then swim down to the bottom of a 6-foot deep run to get the oar so that you could finish navigating.
Yeah, that was
So,
terrible.
moral of the story is when
Don't dig your oars in.
row shallow. Row shallow. Like
Yeah.
you don't need to put the oar.
You don't need the whole oar blade underneath the water.
No, I mean just sweep the water.
And then pay, like, another thing, like, while you're rowing to fish, you can get so invested in watching the fishermen and trying to get the perfect setup, but pay attention to the rocks that are sticking up higher than others. And if you're sideways trying to navigate, like, always be aware of where those oar blades are going in the water and how much water you have to work with. Because you can, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I've effed it up. I've lost an oar like that too.
yeah.
Got barely sideways, got in heavy current in the 3-man,
Yep.
barely got under a rock, and it popped it right out.
Yep.
So always be aware of how much water you're rowing and where those oar blades are.
In fact, it's probably one of the biggest
I think
mistakes
that's
and
the
the
most
most
important thing.
and the most dangerous thing that happens because even losing an oar is actually probably the safest thing that can happen.
Yeah, rather than it popping up and breaking
Hitting
a
you-
jaw.
Yeah, it could break a jaw. Like it could really injure you. So yeah, being aware of where your oars are is probably the number one safety tip.
Yeah.
Making sure that your anchor's secured,
Yeah.
that can be a problem too. But.
And I mean, when you're rowing to fish, like, there's just a lot of things people like to do. Like, people like to feather their oars to get more or less, you know, when you're turning, whatever. Like, there's so many different feels to rowing to be successful that go into being more successful, like catching more fish.
And I also think that it's also, like you said, it's a feel thing, because you can academically tell someone how to row, but everyone is going to feel how the boat moves differently and how they feather the oars or how deep they like them or how long they like their oars. There's so many different personal things, and there's no really as long as you're successful. And
some people like to cross when they go.
Yep. Some people like to cross row, so they have
some
long
people
oars.
when they first start think it's more comfortable being so wide.
Yeah,
you know,
and that changes a lot in terms of how you set your boat up too. I think that's one thing that I'd like to. If I'm giving a plug for us, if and when you buy a boat from us, we bring you in here to the showroom, and we fit you for the oars, we fit you for the foot placement, we fit you for all that to whatever's comfortable for you. So that customization isn't just like a boat in a bag or out of a box.
Yeah, or like here's your boat, figure it out.
Yeah, good luck.
Which we can do that. Like, some people want that.
There's some people that don't want to. They're like, yeah, I've done this before. I don't want to talk about it.
That's great.
But
if you don't have the rowing experience, like, every little part of the footrest, the oar, like the oar towers, where your seat's sitting, like, can really affect how you row, which can affect your success fishing, you know?
And it can also affect like how tired you get or how how effective you are as a rower if your setup isn't right. And sometimes you don't even know what is right for you. Like, if you aren't really experienced and you don't know what, like, you might sit here and feel like, well, this feels fine. And then you call us and say, this feels weird.
Yeah.
Come back down and we'll definitely do whatever we have to help you get dialed in so that you feel more comfortable.
Yeah. Back to being successful to like rowing to fish. One thing I want to talk about is, like, if you're fishing somewhere like Gray Reef or a slow, like where there's just a deep run and nothing changes really about it. I feel like a lot of people just give up on like, they set it up at the top of the run, and say you're just in one consistent, 5 foot deep run that goes 500 yards. Like, a lot of people set it up at the top and just try to follow the one line, or just let the river kind of push them wherever, and like give up on the rowing. They're just like, oh, well, their flies are in the water. It must be wrong flies. There's a lot that goes into it about like following that bubble line, or like seeing weed lines under there that, like, as a rower, if you're paying more attention to that stuff and slowly making little adjustments and like having people recast to where you think you might see a transition in that in something that doesn't change a lot. Like, that is a big difference in being successful.
You are 100% a lazy rower if you are not doing something all the time.
I agree.
Like, like, there's times you get to the end of the day and the guy that's rowing is just sitting there.
Oh yeah, where you're like this and you're tired, which is fine. You're being lazy.
Yeah, but you're not helping anyone fish, because you're right. Like, moving the boat 2 feet right or 2 feet left can make all the difference in someone being successful. So if you're not constantly, like you said, following a foam line, or you see just a slight difference in the water and you decide, hey, that might be structure and I'm going to get him to be able to fish that section, then you're just lazy. If you have somebody on the sticks that is not constantly either speeding you up, slowing you down, or moving you a little bit, he's lazy.
And giving you some pointers like, hey, like, I see, like, cast 3 feet further. There's a boulder coming up.
Even experienced people, you and I tell each other where to fish all the time.
I know.
Because honestly, I'm the worst at it. You're mad at me all the time because you have to yell set, because I'm looking for the next piece of water
to fish while you're fishing that
while I'm fishing.
I know.
And that's another, like, let me just key on that since I'm so bad at it.
Mm-hmm.
If you are fishing, fish.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what water's coming up next necessarily.
Watch your indicator.
Yeah.
Watch your dry fly.
Whatever you're watching, whatever you're supposed to be doing, watch it.
Yeah. If you're fishing, fish.
Yeah.
Let the rower be good enough to navigate and read the water for you.
Yeah. Because that's what he should be doing.
Yeah. But
Watching
like
the
we said,
river.
it's every bit float fishing and being successful, it's every bit as much on the rower as it is on the fisherman.
100%. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I really didn't think that when we first got the boat. It's like, oh, you just let the rower kind of row around and let you know.
Until we didn't catch fish.
Yeah, I know.
Ever. Like, it was a while.
Yeah, it takes some, and especially pressured areas. Like, the rower has to keep you on a good line and get you the right drift to follow the route you're trying to keep your flies in. Like,
And here's a good rule of thumb. 2 to 3 rod lengths away from the water that you want to fish
yeah,
is as close or as far as you want to be. I mean, yes, you can run over fish and catch fish, and yes, you might have a good angler that can cast 5 rod lengths away, but
there's a sweet spot.
there's a sweet spot. 2 to 3 rod lengths is where you should be trying to. If you see a run, you want to put the boat 2 to 3 rod lengths away from that run that you want them to fish.
And then again, like, if you're rowing a buddy who's not that great at fishing, understanding how far he can cast and then keeping that boat the same distance to the water you want him to fish is huge.
And if what you want him to fish slides, like if there's a foam line you want him to fish and it's snaking, you have to try to snake with the foam line.
For sure.
And that's the part about rowing to fish versus navigating that is the most challenging part.
Yeah, especially when at first you're just worried about being safe. And
Yeah. But like I said, navigate first and then figure out how to fish it because there will be a difference.
All right.
You want a hat?
Oh, how did we end our last one? Remember things that suck? Is that a new segment we're doing?
This is going to be the
all right, let's talk about this is a new thing we're doing, things that suck.
because Talon feels like something sucks all the time. So this is going to be Talon's things that suck. It's your segment. I don't even want to be part of it. It's just Talon's things that suck.
Things that suck.
What sucked this week?
You can't get alone anywhere. Maybe not even the bathroom. So just expect it. You're not going to be alone. I mean, we hiked to a freaking alpine lake and thought we were going to be alone and ran into like people we knew on Instagram.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was wild. Like way up there.
Yeah. You'll never be alone. So just don't let it bother you or else it will suck.
Because most of the time you do think it sucks.
Elk hunting, when you run into people, sucks.
When you think that you've done all of the work and you've gotten so far and you've gone, further than any man has gone before, you have not.
No. All right, I got some. All right, so this segment, the things that suck. Pressure sucks. Running into people elk hunting sucks. Freeze-dried meals suck.
Oh, you know what sucks for me? You know what sucks?
Not having water.
Yes. Don't let this person that you're camping with pick the campsite that is not near water. That's what I'll tell you. Just so everyone knows, you need water to survive. It's part of life.
August fishing sucks.
I hate August fishing.
Scuds still suck.
Scuds will always suck. Hey, spicy beef jerky when you don't have enough water sucks. Like, if you're going to camp...
I need a drink of water right now thinking about it.
Don't plan to bring beef jerky as your meal plan if it's spicy and you don't have enough fluids.
That was a bad move.
Really bad move.
Heavy packs suck.
Oh, dude.
You know what sucks? Are e-bikes. Freaking suck.
E-bikes suck.
Which they don't suck. They're great. But I think people that use them suck.
Unless I can use them, and then I don't think that
people who use e-bikes suck until I buy one.
Until I find a place I could use them, then they're great.
Yeah. All right. I'm good.
All right. You done?
Oh, people who think
I know what you're gonna say.
People who are asking why cataracts are the price of a drift boat suck.
Exactly. Is that fully off your chest now, though? Like, you're good?
All right, I'm good. I can sleep well tonight.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
Your confessional's over. Fantastic. Thanks for watching TFC Riffles and Rants.
We'll see you next time.
All right.